Hey guys, so today I'm telling you guys some stories that have happened to me in my past. Today's story I'm going to include one from Colombia, and it's the reason why we go ghost hunting there all the time. So me and Sarah, we went and saw the movie It. And so I was like, I want to go on an adventure. You want to go to Colombia in the middle of the night? And she goes, I guess. I don't know why that movie makes you want to go on an adventure, but okay. And so we ditched my roommates at the time, which were horrible. But, so we ended up in Colombia. And I can't remember if we took her car or my car or whatever. And we're just chilling out, walking down the road, and just like, I don't know, screwing around. She wanted to take some pictures because she had an assignment, I think. And so all of a sudden, we get this weird vibe that passed over us, and we're like, that doesn't feel right. And so I don't remember exactly what else happened at that time, but I was like, okay, we need to leave. And Sarah's like, well, let me get a few pictures first. And I was like, okay. And then I like kept seeing something out of the corner of my eye, just kind of like running past. And I was like, oh, this does not feel good. And I was like, no, Sarah, now we need to really go. And she goes, okay. And she took a picture and she goes, what is that? And I was like, what is what? And she goes, the thing in the tree. And I look up and there's a man standing in the tree. And I'm going to tell you now that that tree does not exist. It is not there anymore. There's no stump. There's nothing. Now, this was almost 3 years ago, but there's no sign that there was a tree there, at least in the past like 10 years. And so then her camera stopped working. It shuts off. It won't turn back on. Nothing's working. And she's very upset because that was her school camera and it was like $2,000 or something. And I was like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get back to the house. We can't do anything about it here anyway. And she goes, okay. And then we look down at the grate and there's somebody in the grate and we just keep running. And I don't know, man. It was just so scary. And then there's been other times that we've gone ghost hunting. And I'm not sure I caught it on video, but one time the car wouldn't start. And then as soon as it did, the headlights wouldn't work. And we kept flipping them, and nothing. Didn't work at all. So there's the Colombia story and why we keep going back to it. You guys are probably sick of seeing it, but it's one of our favorite places to go ghost hunting. So, and then there's a couple other stories that I've got for you. There was one time on Halloween that me and Alondra decided to go up in her field and go watch the stars or, I don't know, do something that teenagers shouldn't do. Don't do anything stupid. So we walked up the mountain and I was like, oh, you know what Halloween is? And she's like, no, what is it? And I was like, oh, that's when the veil is the thinnest. And she's all like, huh. And then all of a sudden we hear a twig snap and we flip our heads up and look up the mountain. There's a woman in like a fancy white dress and it's like glowing around her. And like I vaguely remember her opening her mouth going, but scary. And so I was like, fuck that, we need to leave. But then me and Alondra went screaming down the mountain and then we got up to the swing and we're like, nobody's following us. Was anybody really there? That's what happened on Halloween. I don't think we spent any more Halloweens at her house after that, but I don't know. I don't even know why we were there for Halloween. We usually went to my house. So another story I have is from my high school, and there's two stories that take place here. One is mine, one is an old teacher's that I used to have. So my high school was really old. It was built during the Great Depression, and I think it was there before that too as well. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on it. But my story is I was sitting in biology class and I got the notion to like look up at the teacher's desk, which I rarely did because it pissed him off when you didn't look at him, so I just didn't because he was an asshole. But I looked up and there was a paper drop off, like homework, whatever. And all of a sudden, this one piece of paper flew up, twirled around in the air, and fell to the ground. I looked around the room, nobody else saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I told other people, and at the time, one of our friends had passed, so I was like, maybe it was him, and they're like, don't say stuff like that, Hannah, so I just kind of never talked about it again. And then another story from that high school was I had this teacher, and to tell you the story, our school was kind of an H shape. The main building was in an H, and the long hallways had pictures from previous graduating classes all the way up until, I don't know, the first one. I couldn't tell how old that school is right now. But my teacher at the time, he went down the hall to go to the office or something, go to the bathroom, I don't know. And he saw a woman standing in the hallway, and he's like, oh, ma'am, can I help you? And she goes, oh, no, I'm just looking for my sister. And he's just like, your sister's not going to be in that picture. That picture's 100 years old. I don't know. Old. And she's all like, oh, no, she definitely will be. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever you say. So he turns around, walks down the hallway, and he looks over his shoulder, and she's gone. Yeah. And he never saw anything ever again. I did hear stories that the theater was haunted, but I think that was just in any high school, really. And then I don't have any more stories from the high school, at least scary ones. I have horrible ones. That's for a later date. And one more story. So the last story I have to tell you, I was in the car on the way home from youth group at the time. There was the driver who lived next door to me. He was in the front with my friend, and we were waiting on her mom so then we could go home. And it was taking her mom like hours to get there. It was the middle of the night. And I was in the back of the car, and I was watching the road, and I saw this, like, I swear it was a woman. She ran out in the road, looked at me, waved, and then flew up in the air and took off. I have no explanation what that could have been. It definitely looked human, but I don't know. So, yeah. So that's all the stories I have for you today. There will be a cooking video out tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. And, yeah. Stay spooky and stay happy in whatever walk of life you're in, because that's what matters the most. Okay, bye.